I'm Vicki. Welcome to Make Life Special and another visit in Vickie's kitchen. Today we're going to make French onion drop biscuits. The ingredients for the drop biscuits are buttermilk baking mix. We'll need 2 cups of that, 8 ounces of French onion dip, 1/4 cup of milk, and about 2 tablespoons of chopped green onion. And today I've used actually 2 green onions, and I like to chop them in very small pieces for this recipe, so each biscuit just has a little bit of the onion in it. We're going to start by measuring the baking mix, and you always want to stir it up before you put it into the cup, and then just lightly spoon it into the cup. Don't ever pack it. Again, we're going to want 2 cups of this. And then just gently level it off. Just a little bit more. And you always want to break up any lumps that might be in the baking mix. Okay. And I always like to stir it up before I add the other ingredients, just to make certain that the leavening agents in the baking mix are evenly distributed. And we're going to gently stir in the 8 ounces of French onion dip. The 1/4 cup of milk, and at this point I'll go ahead and add the onions too, and then we'll gently mix this up. There are basically 2 types of biscuit recipes that we're all familiar with. The first type would be the rolled biscuits, where you make your dough and then you would roll it out and use a biscuit cutter. The second type of biscuit, and that's what we're making today, is a drop biscuit. And this is probably one of the easiest types of biscuits to make, so it's really a good recipe for a beginner to start with. You want to gently mix the dough to make sure everything is incorporated just until it starts pulling together. And I'll show you here in just a minute what this looks like. We're just about there with the dough. But again, you don't want any of the dry baking mix not incorporated in. Okay. Now there you can see how the dough is formed together into a very soft dough. This is the consistency that you want for a drop biscuit. Okay, now at this point I'm going to spray the baking sheet with cooking spray. And I like to always use a shiny cookie sheet or baking sheet when I'm baking biscuits or cookies, because I like a light crust on the bottom. And then we're just going to put these out on the cookie sheet. And these will bake at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Or until they're just a light golden brown. Now this is a biscuit that would not be suitable really for breakfast, because it is more of a savory biscuit. So I would recommend using this for an evening meal, dinner, or lunch. Another idea that these would be really good for is after they've baked, to slice them in half, and then you can make little appetizer sliders out of them by putting ham and cheese or turkey and cheese in them, and they would be really good served that way too. Okay, now these are ready to go into the 400-degree oven, and we'll come back as soon as they're baked and I'll show you what they look like. I've just taken the French onion drop biscuits out of the oven, and they smell wonderful. There's one thing about baking that I do need to mention, and you need to follow the recipe as closely as you can, but with this recipe, normally I get 10 biscuits out of it. Today I made them a little bit larger, and I think I have 8. So because these were a little bit larger, they had to bake longer than the 10 minutes. I actually ended up baking these 13 minutes. So you do have to keep some of this in mind when you're baking because the size of the biscuit does matter on this as far as the time goes. On storing the biscuits, you can keep these in a Ziploc bag just out at room temperature for about 2 days. If you want to make these ahead of time and keep them in the freezer to pull out to use as you need them, you can keep them frozen in the freezer for about 3 months, and then to reheat them, just simply take the frozen biscuits out, wrap them in aluminum foil, and heat them in a 300-degree oven for about 20 minutes. If you take the frozen biscuits out of the freezer and thaw them, then just wrap them in aluminum foil and heat them about 10 minutes at 300 degrees. I think your family will love these biscuits as much as mine does. Enjoy.